Right. The function of sepals, is to protect the flower, in its initial stages. When it is in the form of what, guys? It is in the form of bud. So before development of flower, it will be actually protecting from the entire flower will be protected. You can all can see that. Just a minute. So we all can see that basically rose flowers and all we can notice it. So this is only called as actually sepals. You can see how the flower is entirely protected inside the sepals. So the initial stage of budding, this is what we used to say budding. So at the initial stage of budding, you can see that the sepals only will protect the flower. So once the flower will start developing properly, then only the flower will come out from the sepals. So that is how it will be. You can notice it. So these sepals, once the flower will be grown up, so automatically they will be settled at the bottom. Like for the, like we can say it is like a decoration, or we can say like a beautiness. This is only we used to called as sepals. Next one, petals. So we all knows that petals means. So what is that? The most attractive part of the flower, which will help the flower for fertilization. That is the importance of petals. Not that girls will like, boys will like flower, girls will like. So that let me keep it for your god or something. Actually, the importance of petals is for helping in fertilization, male and female. How, sir? In humans or animals, male sex cells can be transferred to the female sex cells by the sexual reproductive process. But flowers, they cannot be moved because for flowers, they are in a permanent position. So what will happen? They need external help. That external help can be provided by the what? Sepals, petals only. How, sir? Petals will never help. Petals will attract actually. Petals will attract the organisms like insects or any other kind of organisms who will help in reproduction. And also the entire reproductive part of a flower is protected by whom? Everybody. Entire reproductive part of a flower is protected by what? Everybody? Petals only. That is why you can see inside the petals only whole male and female reproductive cells are present. So that is what we used to call as petals. So write it. First name. Petals also we can call as corolla. Corolla is the another name of petals. Right. The colorful part of a flower, colorful part of a flower are called petals. What is the main part of it? One is for protection, another one is for attracting what? Insects for pollination. Okay. So we'll study that is what are called petals. The petals lie inside the sepals. The petals lie inside. You can see this is sepals and this is petals. They're lying inside the sepals. They lie inside the sepals. And all these petals is to attract insects for what, guys? Insects for what purpose? For pollination. Pollination means reproduction. Pollination and to protect reproductive organs which are at the center of the flower. Which are at the center of the flower. So that is the importance of petals. Are you clear, everybody? So please write it. Anything doubt, you can ask me. So 3 parts you studied: receptacles, sepals, and petals. Then the male reproductive part, and then female reproductive part. We are going to start. So what is the male reproductive part, everybody? Stamen. So let us see what is the structure of stamen and how it will be producing. These all the things we are going to see it now. Okay. So write it, everybody. Any doubt, anybody can ask me. Clear? Harish, anything doubt, Sanjay Kanan?
No, sir.
Yeah. Do it fast. Mr. Johan, what happened? Omar, what happened? All of you understood, ma'am? Utakshri?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So next, the 4th part actually. So that is only stamen. So write it. So this particular part alone, if I cut it, that is only called as male reproductive part. So male reproductive part, it is containing 2 parts. So this totally we used to call it as a male reproductive part. This bulb-like structure, all of you observe, the bulb-like structure we used to call it as anther, and the tube-like structure which is present. Already we have studied chemotropism. Do you remember? The tube will develop. That tube-like structure which we used to call it as a filament. So if I say stamen means it is containing 2 parts, a bulb-like structure which we used to call it as anther, and a tube-like structure which will carries, that is what, down, which is attaching from the flower, which we used to call it as what? Everybody, filament. Together we used to call it as, what we used to say? Stamen. Understanding, all of you? Now, where the pollen grains are present, sir? Actually, the pollen grains are present inside this anther. If you cut these pollen grains, then we can see inside. If you cut this bulb-like structure anthers, we can see inside there will be a pollen grains. That pollen grains only we used to call it as what? Everybody? Male reproductive. Please respond. Male reproductive organ of a what? Plant or animal? Male reproductive organ of a plant. Okay. So let us see. I'll show you. And you can remember, you have to draw the structure also. So make sure you're able to see that. So this is what we used to call as male reproductive cell. So if you notice it here, this all the things you can notice it. The middle one alone we used to call as female reproductive one, and all the surroundings we used to say male reproductive cells only. So this is what we used to call as stamens. So these stamens you can see basically, so they will be produced by, they will be having a 2 parts. This is the exact picture you can draw. So they're having a 2 parts. One is anther, another one is filament. So if I cut this anther inside, have you seen the dots, small like dots, bulb-like structures, everybody? That is only called as, what is to call everybody? All of you, pollen grains we used to say. So pollen grains are present inside the pollen sacs. That entire pollen sacs we used to call as what? Anthers, and they have been attached from the flower, which we used to call as filament. So together, filament plus this anther, both together only we used to call as, what is to call everybody? We used to call as male reproductive part or organ of a plant, which we used to call as stamen. So please write it. So any one diagram you take, so and then you have to draw that one. It is very important to draw the diagram. You have to know that. Okay. So you can draw this one. This is nice diagram. So all of you draw this diagram. Okay. So stamen means contains how many parts, everybody? It contains two parts. Okay. So here anther has been cut open to show the pollen grains inside. So inside what you are seeing, that is what is actually pollen grains. Pollen grains are present in pollen sacs. Okay. So you can draw this diagram. So filament plus anther together we used to call it as what? Everybody? Stamen. That is the male reproductive part of a flower. Right. The little stacks with the swollen tops, the little sacs with the swollen tops, just inside the ring of petals, inside the ring of petals of a flower, inside a ring of petals of a flower, we used to called as stamens. We used to called as stamens. Stamen is the male reproductive organ of a plant. Stamen is the male reproductive organ. Stamen is the male reproductive organ of a plant, which will produce what, guys? Male sex cells or female sex cells? Everybody. Yes, please. It will produce as male sex cells. What is the male sex cells names? Girls in flowers, what is the male sex cells names? All of you. Pollen grains. Male sex cells, which we used to call as pollen grains. Pollen grains. Pollen grains are present inside where? All of you. Pollen sacs. Right. Stamen produces pollen grains. That is what? Now the stamen is made up of two parts. What is the two parts of stamen, everybody? One is anther, another one is
and filament.
Right. The stack of a stamen is called filament. The stack, STALK, the stack of a stamen, which is to called filament, and the swollen top is called as, what is to call? Swollen top of a stamen, which is to called as what? Everybody? Anther. Anther. Swollen top of a stamen is called anther. All of you clear, Amma? Understanding? So who will produce the male reproductive cells of a flower? Who will produce the male reproductive cells of a flower? Everybody.
Stamen.
Understanding? Anther of a stamen, which will makes the pollen grains and stores the pollen grains. Please note it. Anther of a stamen, who makes the pollen grains and stores the pollen grains. Okay. Next, the color of the pollen grains is yellow and they are powder-like substance. Appearance. See that always the pollen grains, every flower, the pollen grains, the anther appears to be what color? Yellow color only. Write it. The pollen grains appears to be yellow and powder-like substance. Powder-like substance. Now, if you're having a flowers in front of your home, you go and touch the anther, you will get a powder-like substance to your finger. That is only called as pollen grains. Do you understand, everybody? Even for the who are cultivating the flowers, like getting the fruits, the human also will help the pollen grains fertilization. How means they will go and will touch the pollen grains. So that is what anther, so that the pollen grains will fall on the female reproductive cell, so that reproduction will carried out. And birds, small insects, animals, everything they will help for the fertilization. That is what pollination, which we'll study in our next class. So that is what is the importance of male reproductive cells, and these pollen grains will store inside the anther, and they only contains the male sex cells or male gametes of a flower. So the male gametes of a flowers, where they are made, everybody, male gametes of a flower is made up of inside where? Inside the anther of a stamen. Write it. Anther of a stamen. So that is very, very important. Clear, everybody? And you have to remember, a single flower is containing more than one anther. That is what? More than one stamens are present inside the flower. So it may be more also, you can see. So mostly you can see the surroundings. The female reproductive part is present only one, but male reproductive part you can see many are present. For example, if you take this flower, see that how many male parts are present? Everybody's stamens are present. How many here? 6. Understanding? But female part is present only one. So this female reproductive part and how this pollination or fertilization will take place, that all the things we'll discuss in our coming class. Now, what is our duty? I already allotted you the time. Now you can see, if you want to see all of you, anther covered inside the pollen grains. This is how this is what we used to call it as male reproductive cells. So you can notice it very clearly, how they will be. So if you touch this, you'll get a powder-like substance. That is only actually pollen grains. Inside these pollen grains only, there will be a male reproductive cells of a flower. You can all notice every flower, there will be similar things it is. So that is what male reproductive cell. So totally 4 you studied: receptacles, sepals, petals, stamen. So last part of the flower is left. That is what? Carpel. Carpel is only called as what? Female reproductive cell. So once that is over, we are going to study the reproduction in flowering plants. That is what? Pollination and types of pollination. How this after pollination, fertilization will take place. Fertilization leads to formation of fruits and as well as seeds. After that, we are going to the reproduction in animals. So that is what you have to remember. So till here, any doubt anybody can ask me, or else you have to listen, follow the timings, no break. Already 6 to now, get back to work immediately. And I already told you till 8 o'clock, you have to read what? Everybody. Till 8 o'clock, you have to read physics. Then 8 or 8:30, half an hour break for morning breakfast. 9 to 12, you have to read chemistry NCRT. Write and again write, again write, and again write. You have to do it. Clear, everyone? So please make sure follows very strictly. Otherwise, don't come in afternoon and never turn up. Don't show your face to me also. If you want to sleep, if you want to relax, you go to hell somewhere and you never comes to me again. So if not following, afternoon I'll check your classwork, so your notebooks also, what you have been practiced till afternoon, till 12 o'clock. Then 2 o'clock only today it will start. All of you come on time, don't come late to the class. Okay. Thank you. Get back to the work. Starts with the physics now. Everybody practice all the questions of sample papers and all the numericals what we have practiced. First learn the concepts. If you are good in concepts, then go to the practice. That is what is my suggestion. Okay. Thank you. We'll meet in afternoon class.